Feeling thirsty? Drink peppers. So if you're into cringe compilations, you might be familiar with Zach Storch on a show called King of the Nerds, which as far as I can tell is a show about nerds showing how much more nerdy they are than each other. Okay, so this is a video titled Ultimate Cringe Lord.
This is great. The least intelligent member of my team is Josh. He has similar gamer skills to me, but he doesn't have the entire rest of cornucopia of information I have.
He doesn't have the rest of the cornucopia of information I have. That's right, I've seen a video before. Seen a commentary video before. I'm just gonna plug in a little...
But you are a redundancy in our programming because I know every Pokemon you know, plus.
I know every Pokemon you know, plus.
Katie, what do you think?
I'm really, really glad I'm on this team. Love you guys.
Every time the hug gets me. Yeah, so a bit cringe.
So Zach's intro on the show always credits them as an author.
Which got me thinking.
And thinking got me and Connor searching on Amazon for what it is they're the author of.
So may I introduce to you Za'nar: Impossibility. I like the little guy on the cover there. A friend. Wow, okay, that's a lot of text. And to save you actually pausing the video here to read the blurb, I'll just summarize it for you. It explains a lot of the plot beat by beat. This is where you might hear a lot of red flag alarm bells going off. The objective of the blurb is not to summarize the plot in its entirety, it's to give you a pitch. And what's really interesting is that you don't need any kind of formal education in creative writing or English, anything that I have a degree in, to understand the purpose of a blurb, right? You can spend 10 minutes in a library or a bookshop picking up books and looking at the backs, and not only will you find the purpose of a blurb, you'll also find what kind of blurb you like. Do you like the mysterious sentence opener? Do you like a little quote at the top? Maybe you're partial to a tagline followed by a little bit of an explanation about what's going on here. Would you like 5 or 6 massive paragraphs? No, you would not. No, thank you. So what kind of instinct do you need to be listening to think that this blurb is a good idea? So Za'nar follows Clyde, a nerd who is told that not only does alien life exist, but also that he is a space wizard who is the only one who can save an entire planet from being destroyed by shadowy, big monsters in space. I don't think that premise is particularly bad. I think it sounds quite cool, especially for a YA book. That's chapter 1, let's not get ahead of ourselves. The prologue follows 2 characters named Put Names in Please. Okay, right, well, you didn't have to be lazy while writing the script, Chris. Daz and Sayel. Sayel? Sayel. Sayel? Sayel. Sayel? Sayel. That sounds more space. So the plot follows Daz and Sayel as they fight Shades, capital S, on a distant planet. A distant planet called Impossibility. And the writing feels odd? Bad. It's bad. We don't really see what Za'nar looks like. We know there is a bridge and a university, but there is no description in there that would let us see that it is different from Earth in any way. So, give you a quick example.
They ran through the field for 2 miles before finding what they were looking for. Marching through the grassy plain, a mere mile away from town, was a regiment, shade and all. The shade, a walking silhouette that seemed human, but had no discernible features, led the group. Okay,
so what did it look like? So from that little passage you know that grass is the same as on Earth. They use an imperial system of measurement, and also that this is the kind of book where they capitalize nouns almost at random. The fight scene that follows is also somehow worse, because first Zack describes 3 different kinds of alien, the Jais, the Shade, and the Kilk, and then expects us to not only remember what they're called, but what they all look like and what they do throughout the fight scene. And it's a lot to take in. It's very ambitious for a first scene of the book. Oh, the planetary system is called Za'nar. The planet they're on is called Vacid? Vacid. Right, the planet is called Vacid, and the entire planetary system is called Za'nar. So, I sound like a fucking idiot. Just to see if there are any universal teen themes in Za'nar, I went back and I looked at my own NaNoWriMo attempt from when I was around the same age. It's called Bloodstained Japery, and oh boy! Why is it called Bloodstained Japery? I don't know. Those are just 2 words. Those are just 2 words. Oh, Christ. So yeah, the first thing you're going to notice is that It's in Times New Roman, and why? Why? I wish someone had told me when I was 15 what line spacing is. It actually looks better if you indent your paragraph with 5 spaces by pressing tab instead of 2 spaces, so that everything you type is just an entire wall of text.
He cursed extendedly.
That's shit. Don't do that. The book starts, and immediately you can see that the main character is apparently the sun. The star. And he's personified, he has dialogue, and for some reason he's also an alcoholic, and I don't understand what's happening.
The moon chuckled at the sun's misfortune as she sat down for a nap.
That's hard, isn't it? The sun gave her the finger, the sun has arms, and concentrated on the events of the rock in orbit around his person. Someone was bound to be having a better time. I think at the time I was reading a lot of Discworld, and Discworld books often start with a scene that initially appears irrelevant to the plot as a whole, and then as that scene ends, we go into the first scene of the main character. That happens a lot, but usually that's funny, or is like a little bit poignant, or at least touches at some theme in the book. Whereas this is just nonsense, and the kind of nonsense that comes about from typing to 50,000 words 1 month out of the year. Claudius Flatbucket, that's a name. That's a name that I put on a main character. I just slapped it on there. Okay, cool. Claudius Flatbucket was indeed having a better time. He stumbled across the early morning streets of London. The putrid mugginess of the summer weather had not quite appeared yet. If it wasn't there, why are you mentioning it? And the girl in his arm was so drunk that she was talking to the clouds in the sky. Talking a little too provocatively for Claudius's liking, in fact. So, I mean, I hope he's not planning to have sex with this drunk girl. That'll be a little bit inappropriate. But I do like that we're introducing this character to be jealous, and that can be a moment of character growth later on. Carefully balancing himself, he fished into the pocket of jeans for his door key. So he drops the key. The key is picked up by a person who is called Strangy, which I thought was really funny at the time, because it's like the word strange but more, and then it became my username on every possible platform. My name is Strangy, and I am here to kill you. Alright. With his opposite hand, he took out a switchblade from the inside his trousers. Why did you keep that in your pants? Claudius raised his eyebrows in a drunken attempt to raise an eyebrow. Alright, okay, I like that. Okay, yes, and yes, I thought so. Okay, so they have a fight. Claudius rips out uses his teeth to rip out this Strangy's heart, and then eats it. Well, because it later turns out that eating people's hearts gives you the superpower of the person whose heart it was. So it's like Heroes but dumb. Claudius goes home after this fight scene where he's killed a character who was trying to rob him. Okay, just so we know what the plot is here, and he's immediately picked up by a cultist from the head of the Church of the Rabbit. I don't know what that is. I have need of your abilities. Shut up, old man, if that is your real name. Claudius frowned interrogatively. That what? So the cultist promises Claudius that he will give him an LCD TV. Oh, sorry, a 60-inch LCD TV if he will only come with him in this van. Then we go into a flashback sequence in which he asks his older brother to lend him his 60-inch LCD TV so he can hook up his master system. His brother says no, so he burns down the house. What is this? So he gets kidnapped by this cultist who turns out he was lying. Smells kind of funny, Claudius sniffed.
The panini machine exploded yesterday. You'll have to excuse that,
said the man who had been driving the van.
He was disgustingly obese. I don't like that. Why'd you have to go there? Oh dear. So what follows is a really long, really convoluted adventure where Claudius just goes around eating people's hearts in order to power up more. Eventually, like, I think there's one character that time travels in, but if I'm very honest, this document is painful to read, so I'm going to stop now. The point is that Za'nar could be a lot worse. So I managed to get through 2 chapters of Za'nar before realizing I wasn't into it and giving up. Whereas Bloodstained Japery, I couldn't read for more than 15 minutes. It doesn't have chapter breaks, it doesn't have line spacing, and the worst thing is that because it's written by a 15-year-old, it's got some of the worst opinions you can possibly have as a human in it. But if there is a redeeming feature of Za'nar, it's that it does tap into something very human. And I'm not just talking about the human capacity to cringe. When our hero is told that he's a space wizard and he needs to save an entire system of planets from being eaten by shadows or whatever, he reacts with a moment of cognitive dissonance. So on the one hand, all of his instincts, everything he's ever learned about being human and living in the world has taught him that what is happening cannot be real. His immediate reaction is to reject what is happening. Obviously there's some kind of dream. He's not actually hanging out in a coffee shop or a dorm room with a beautiful space wizard woman. He is dreaming, right? But on the other hand, he absolutely desperately wants to believe it because he has been waiting for this moment his entire life. Unless it was a dream, I kept thinking to myself. But I banished that thought. I wanted it to be real too badly. He's been waiting for his superpowers to emerge for so long that his desire for this to be real is stronger than his ability to disbelieve it. It also does this really weird thing where this first chapter is written second person to you because it's written to the Sayal,
And then they completely abandoned that and switched to first person.
I tried to push it off as crazy. This is insane, I thought. No, it is not insane. It is telepathy.
Ooh. And honestly, I can relate with that feeling, and maybe you can as well.
So just want to say, don't send any abuse to Zach, just because being cringe doesn't mean you deserve to be abused.
So yeah, I can't really recommend Za'nar just because it's not, good. But if you're willing to pay around the same amount of money for an independent author's book, which is much better, I can recommend a few of them now. You can read Sean Hutchings' Dead Meat Sextet, which is probably intended for a slightly older audience. It's made up of 6 interconnected stories about death. It's very clever and very cool. You can also read 90s Kid by Savvy, which is a time travel YA romance adventure, looking at the casual biphobia of the early to mid 2000s, and with a lot of Back to the Future references. Or you can even read Nicole McKeon's The Laws of Founding, which is a dimension-hopping YA adventure with a really big emphasis on character development and romance. Alright, I'm gonna go.